A weekend around Major League Baseball that included a full slate on a Sunday and a marquee matchup all weekend long in Los Angeles. The two presumptive favorites to win the National League, the two presumptive favorites before the year even got underway to win a World Series in 2024, doing battle for the first time this year out in LA. The Dodgers and the Braves, all three games go the way of Los Angeles. Dodger blue in a big way all weekend long, despite yesterday, DRS, being booked as an underdog for only the second time this year. The LA native, Max Fried on the bump for Atlanta. No issue for the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani, 4 for 4 at the dish. 2 home runs yesterday for LA as the Dodgers take the series in a sweep, and the finale 5-1 yesterday over the Braves.
Yeah, we were talking about on Friday, one of the series preview just couldn't quite be the NLCS, and maybe it still is going to be that. But for now, the Dodgers certainly hold that calling card as maybe we are the best team in the National League because we just upended the Braves in a 3-game series and held the Braves to 6 total runs out there in Chavez Ravine. And also keep in mind, the Los Angeles Dodgers waiting to get some key components back into that starting lineup, particularly their pitching staff, which means looks like Walker Buehler is probably going to get a start today, and they didn't even have him in this series. Look, this is a really good win by the Dodgers. Did we expect them to win the series at home? Yes, we probably did. But the way they did it here also, with Shohei Ohtani, as we pointed out to start the show, 364 on the season, 2 more home runs yesterday. What can't they do in that lineup? And also, you take a look at yesterday, Pages did go 0 for 3, but he's hitting 319 here. It always feels like the Dodgers. You mix those rich superstar talent contracts in with some of those kids coming up out of double and triple A, and it usually works in your favor. Yep. The Dodgers 23-13 now look a lot better than what we were looking at last week. A couple games over 500. They'll get it together. Maybe this is the momentum that the Dodgers needed with a sweep over the Atlanta Braves to really propel themselves. And also from a Braves perspective, you want to get at least one out of those 3 games, because when a team like the Philadelphia Phillies is really playing good baseball right now, you're dropping some games. It's rare to see the Braves, who usually run and hide in the regular season in the NL East, now in second place.
Yeah, absolutely so. And for LA, they've won 8 of their last 10, 4 consecutive victories for the Dodgers. So let's see how this weekend series, albeit significant, but still in early May, affects the long-term odds. In the pennant market to win the National League, the Braves move back by 10 cents. The Dodgers see their price shorten by that same amount, plus 155 for LA, plus 230 now for Atlanta. The Braves before the weekend, plus 220, LA plus 165. The Dodgers actually see their price shorten in the World Series odds, but so too does Atlanta. Maybe because of what Philadelphia has done, but also some maneuvering in the American League. The Orioles now the best record in the AL. But the most wins in baseball, that belongs to the Philadelphia Phillies, who have now won 5 straight games. A short underdog yesterday in San Francisco as well. Sunday night baseball against the Giants after scoring 14 by the Bay on Saturday. It was a big third inning for the Phils. 3-run bomb from Bryce Harper. Bryson Stott, RBI double. They go up 5-1. They hold on to win 5-4. Again, the Phils, the most wins in all of Major League Baseball, make that 24 now for Philadelphia.
Yeah, coming into that game yesterday, I thought this was the game that the Phillies were going to lose in this series and maybe stop some of the momentum. It would have been yesterday because Logan Webb coming into that game, 3-2 overall, but he's pitched very well throughout the season. 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, as you brought up here, which brings his ERA up above now 3.5. But also, Taijuan Walker, one of those pitchers that the Phillies signed a few years back, expected to be that true number 3 in the roster. Now the Phillies are looking at him as like a 4 or a 5, and anything that you get out of him is going to be a positive. Pitches into the 7th inning yesterday, did give up that 2-run home run to make the game 5-3 and a little bit closer, which again, the Phillies ended up winning 5-4, but that's a pretty good sign. Taijuan Walker now 2-0 in the season, despite having an ERA of 6.39. Anything out of him is a positive when you expected him to be a frontline starting pitcher. Now maybe he can settle in and just say, you know what? if I'm going to get offense like this on a day-to-day basis where I'm pitching, I'm going to be quite fine here. So maybe he works out the kinks coming late here out of spring training. But the Phillies pitching staff and team as a whole playing great baseball right now, 24-11. And this is a team, Ben, that we usually wait for catching fire in August and September, now in first place in the NL East this early in the season. That's a really good sign. And today, they do have the getaway game. Zach Wheeler's on the bump here, so maybe another win on deck for the Philadelphia Phillies. The first to 25 games is a possibility now.
2.5-game lead for Philadelphia in the National League East at this moment. Again, very early on to decide a division, but a very good start for the Phillies. And as you said, day baseball randomly in San Francisco today. You don't often see a 4-game set through the weekend into a Monday afternoon, but that's the scenario in San Fran. And the Philadelphia Phillies, a hefty favorite today. Are the games back in Philly? Wait, hold on a second. Is that right?
Yeah, the whole series is in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I said. What did I say? Out in San Francisco? That was on me.
Yes.
Philadelphia at home once again. That's all we've ever been saying. The Phils
maybe
minus 205 favorite with Zach Wheeler. Yeah, maybe they did. Zach Wheeler on the bump today for this fourth and final game to end out a series. Everything is thrown off when you play 4 games through the weekend. Even hosts on television can get a little caught up. But, Donnie, you've made this point a few times, and I think it's really going to be the story we follow throughout this Major League Baseball season. We'll see some odds shift ever so slightly by a couple of cents, maybe $1 or $2 here. But it's really the shelves in the National League, the clear tier of 2, the Dodgers and the Braves, and then not all that far off, Philadelphia, and then the Phils in front of everybody. You have to almost triple or take a third of the price out of the Cubbies to get to the Phils at 6-1.
Yeah, and this is the way it should be. It's the Dodgers, Braves, and Phillies. You can put them in any order. Now, it is kind of interesting that the Phillies are playing such great baseball right now, and so a 6-1 price to win the National League. Now, you might say, well, the Dodgers eventually will be the better team, and maybe that's understandable. But from a pitching perspective and hitting perspective and a record perspective here, the Philadelphia Phillies look like they're pretty good. But I always say this. You don't win the National League at the end of September and early October. To win the National League, you got to win in the playoffs, and maybe they're thinking that the Dodgers and the Braves just match up better against the Philadelphia Phillies in the playoffs. We'll see if that's more said than done, because the Phillies, frontline pitching, they can match up with anybody here. Should be fun to watch it play out throughout the summer months here.
And we'll talk about the rest of Major League Baseball from the weekend that was. Around the Diamond up next here on the Early Line. The hottest team in Major League Baseball saw a streak come to a close this weekend. The Twins, entering the series finale against the Red Sox yesterday in Minneapolis, had won 12 consecutive games. They were favored around a minus 178 home money line price yesterday against Boston before the Red Sox snap the 12-game win streak and win their first game of the series. Boston victorious 9-2 over Minnesota. 12 games comes to a close, but it was an important 12 games for the Twins, the preseason favorites to win the American League Central, now back 5 games above 500, 19-14.
And by the way, the Twins yesterday, you figured they would have had the advantage. Ryan was on the mound having a pretty good season. He goes 6 innings pitched, only 3 earned runs given up, but still hammered 9-2 overall. And also, you take a look at the Boston Red Sox ending that snapping that streak, I should say, by going with the de facto bullpen game. Criswell went 4 1/3 innings. Then they brought in 5 more pitchers to close this out, which included Kenley Jansen coming in here late in that ball game. And look, you take a look at the Boston Red Sox on the season, 19-16. We are expecting them to be a distant last place in the American League East, and that's certainly not the case as they improved to 12-7 on the road. Baseball is tough. You can't win every single game, but also from a Twins perspective here, all those wins that you piled up here, they didn't just go out the window. You're back in the race now from a tough start to now saying, you know what, we can win this division and we're back on even footing. I like that out of the Twins, though. So even though they took the loss yesterday, good on them for getting back into the race this early and saying, you know what, let's get after it here in the month of May.
Listen, 10 of the 12 wins, 7 of them came against the White Sox, 3 against the Angels, but the 2 wins over Boston, who maybe we expected to be the bottom feeder in the American League East, that has not been the case. The Red Sox, one of 3 teams above 500 in that division. Baltimore, the best record, 23 wins now for the O's. Also 23 wins, but a few more losses than the Orioles for the Yankees, and the Red Sox, 19-16. The Rays, below 500 despite a series sweep this weekend, including a walk-off yesterday in the bottom of the 10th for Tampa and a rally for the Rays to sweep the New York Mets this weekend. And as we shared earlier in the show, Alek Manoah, his first MLB start since last August, he gets shelled. The Blue Jays drop 2 of 3 against the Washington Nationals, who are an even 17-17 at 500 this year. A part of the weekend that was around the bigs. The Yankees DRS a big weekend series sweep against the Tigers after dropping 3 of 4 against Baltimore.
Yeah, Soto with a big base hit late in that game, and as the rain came down in the Bronx, that's a good win for them. But also, the Tampa Bay Rays, New York Mets, who got knocked under 500 after that series at 16-18. Sometimes, like, Bader's a really good center fielder. He's one of the better center fielders in baseball, but he does make a mistake there in the bottom of the 10th inning. If you keep the baseball in front of you there, you have a legitimate chance to maybe extend that into the 11th inning. He goes for the dive, misses it, then it's 2-run scoring there, so the Tampa Bay Rays pull that one out. The Rays also, one of those teams still flying under the radar. Not a lot to love in that lineup or in that starting staff, but they're 17-18. Right. Let's see if they might be able to get on a little bit of a run here, now improving to 11-9 at home in the Trop. But one of those teams that you can never quite count out. We'll see where the Rays go from here.
Again, the Orioles, a weekend sweep over Cincinnati in Cincinnati, 11-1, the victory yesterday for Baltimore. 5 RBI game, including a grand slam, really as the icing on top in the 9th for Anthony Santander and Baltimore. Again, the O's, the best record in the American League at 23-11 in front of the Yanks at 23-13. There was some momentum for Houston entering the weekend. The Astros lose the weekend set against the Seattle Mariners, dropping the final 2 games. Houston now 12-22, tied for the second worst record in the AL, Donnie, alongside the LA Angels. The only team worse, of course, the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, one of those teams we thought would really factor into the AL race, let alone the AL West at this point, still scuffling around. There's a lot of good players on that team and a lot of talent for them to be playing this poorly. Good thing in Major League Baseball, it's not the NFL where you have 17 games to get it right. You got a long season here, but sooner or later, you got to start that charge up the leaderboard here, and we just quite haven't found that yet for the Astros.
The A's dropped their series finale, getting hammered by Miami in Oakland yesterday. 12-3 the victory for the Marlins. But Oakland entered that series finale winners of 6 straight games. The A's only a game below 500, 17-18, well in front of both Houston and Los Angeles for not having the worst record in the American League West or near the bottom of the American League. The Cubbies win the final 2 games of their weekend series against the Brewers in the battle between the 2 top teams in the National League Central.